Hi everyone. Today I'm in a very special place. As you can see, I'm in Cairo sitting in front of one of the great pyramids of Giza. And this place is so special to me because it is part of my heritage. Those of you who know me, I'm half Egyptian and I just love coming here. It is such an amazing place, and it's very hard to put into words what I feel when I am here. So I thought this would be the perfect setting to talk about our ancestors and our ancestral trauma and perhaps ancestral karma that some of us, maybe all of us, carry, and what it means to us and what we can do about it. For example, families who come from nations who've passed through war and a lot of turmoil, they can have a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders, which is handed down through the generations. And there have been a lot of new clinical studies and psychological studies and DNA studies on how this trauma gets passed on and handed down. So on a more practical level, it's as if we kind of get this toolkit of how to survive such extreme situations and how to act to get through them. For example, through suppression of emotions, of being what people consider as strong, and just kind of getting on with life and looking for opportunity, always calculating and living less naturally because, yeah, the ancestors were in a war zone perhaps. So this toolkit, which gets passed down from generation to generation, if nowadays the country is in peace, then it no longer serves us, and we no longer need these tools or these patterns to live. They're actually quite detrimental. I was at a synchronization workshop by Teal Swan recently, where she did a lot of work with a Russian lady on stage. And it was fascinating to see that this lady, she was so out of touch with her emotions because of the way she was brought up, the way she was taught to be, the way she was shown to survive. And it can be as simple as an exercise, as feeling when your body gets stiff and rigid, as to opposed to when it relaxes. And of course, the relaxation state is the one we strive for because that's the one where our energy flows, where we feel at peace with ourselves, where we are at one. In the frozen state, in the tense state, it's the one where we're getting ready to battle. It's the fight or flight. It's what's coming next, what's happening next, what do I need to be prepared for, what do I need to take into consideration. And you can imagine that this is a very exhausting way to live. And then on the other side, a very interesting experience I had. I went to go see a healer, and I went to go see her because I had a severe blockage toward my own creative success, and I wanted to explore it further, but on an energetic level rather than a purely psychological level. So I went to go see her, and she made me aware that, in a way, from my mother's side, my female lineage, there is the trauma of the women because of war again, because of the circumstances. I mean, my grandparents were in World War II. They lost everything. They had a really, really difficult time. They had to rebuild their lives. It was definitely a traumatic experience. And from my grandmother's side, there was no luxury to be successful in something creative. It was as if these women, they had to forgo their personal wishes, their personal taking the risk, the luxury of being able to take a risk for the better and benefit of the family because times were tough. And the healer said to me that I'm in a position now where, by realizing my dreams and taking the luxury to risk to be me. I can heal all of my ancestors' wounds. And that to me was something very, very powerful, because I still have a very strong connection to my grandparents, even though they're no longer with me here in this world. And the idea of being able to do something that is bigger than me and to affect people I love and people they love is a really, really beautiful thought. Then there's another thing I would like to discuss, which is fear. And this is also another thing that can easily be handed down through the generations. And there are case studies where young, successful adults just suddenly completely break down with depression and anxiety and fear and panic, and they just cannot function anymore. I remember reading one article about insomnia. This young man, he lost everything. He lost his sports scholarship, he couldn't function anymore, he couldn't sleep, and his life just went to shambles for no apparent reason. And I would say that from my paternal lineage, there is definitely this element of fear. Again, my grandparents from that side, they went through revolutions. Life in Egypt was very, very difficult. And it was also about being strong, pulling yourself together and getting on with it. But perhaps some of them never got a chance to be a child, to probably grow up, to mature, to emotionally feel safe. And for me, my anxiety and my fear have definitely surfaced at an adult stage. So this is also another thing I think is a really great opportunity to focus on, because by working on our own fear, our own anxiety, perhaps we can relieve some of theirs as well, and the ones who are alive too. So sometimes I think it's really lovely to see the bigger picture and to not just focus on ourselves, but to focus on our loved ones, and it can give us so much insight as to whether our own pain, our own trauma is from our life in this life, perhaps another life, or if it's something that got handed down to us through our ancestors. So, thanks for listening, and I'm so honored to be here. Let me give you a little view. See you soon.